All right, welcome back. I cleaned up some of the tools that I'm done with now. I'm done with the Lisle puller. As you can see, it works as advertised. This had not been apart since the car was brand new. It has 112,000 miles on it now. We've owned it since new, so I know this has never been off of here. I didn't work on this previously. It came right off today. So that tool definitely did its job. The wheel bearings, here's the other wheel bearing. I already put the one in I mentioned. This is an SKF wheel bearing. I ordered them last week from Parts Geek. I got the pair for, I believe it was about $110 plus shipping and tax, which I thought was a really good price. They came together. You could buy them separately, where the pair, I bought the pair because I figured I'd just do them both while I'm here. Got this all cleaned up in here, pretty good. Next thing we need to do is get the dust shield off the back. And for that, you just got to pry around a little bit, get a screwdriver. Some people I've seen in their videos, they just pick this up, hold the dust shield and whack this with a hammer, but I'm trying to do as little damage as I can to the dust shield, so, and it's moving pretty easily on there. And there you go, that's all it was to get that off. You can see the rust on there. You can sell this car been in snow. Actually goes really good in snow. But this is the dust shield. You can see it's, this isn't a Southern car, so there is some, while there's no rust on the car itself, on the body, there is rust underneath, as you would expect. So now I'm going to, you can see it's pretty elementary here, but the bottom bolts are spaced further apart than the top. So put this in here, match it up, get it close, and here are your bolts that you're going to want to use. They're 14 millimeter. So this is probably the trickiest part of putting this together, is trying to get everything lined up on here. You don't need the dust shield lined up currently, but you do want the axle shaft somewhat lined up. So you're going to get in here, slide this on here. I would also recommend using a little bit of anti-seize or something on here. I didn't put any on. It'd be a good idea to do it if you ever want to take it apart again and make it easier. So you get that lined up. Get your dust shield rotated. You're going to have to play around a little bit to get everything in alignment here. I'm actually going to have to turn the wheel to the right or to the left to get a little bit of rhythm. And this is probably one of the worst parts of doing this job. You could unhook your battery, leave the key on, so you don't have to keep getting up to turn the wheel. But what you're going to do is just keep playing around with this, get the alignment right. Kind of hold it in place to my knee also. Let me grab a socket, try to get in there. I can see the bolt here, so I know it's starting to come through. It's not quite lined up yet. I know some people would use air tools on this to zip it in there, but I don't want to take a chance on stripping the threads. So I'd rather get it started by hand first, and then I'll actually I probably won't use any air on this at all. I'll just do this all by hand. Okay, I got that one started. Okay, well, for this, snug down a little bit. Gonna torque them down now. Like I said, the proper torque setting from the information I found on the internet, proper torque setting is 48 pounds. When I look on the internet for something like a torque setting, I always make sure I check multiple sources, because you could have somebody on there that doesn't know or has the wrong information or whatever the case may be. Maybe read it wrong. There's 48. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the 40 right there. It's below 50. That's the 50 mark, so it's just below 50, and you can see number 8 right here, which means 48. So I have it set to 48. But yeah, I always make sure I check multiple sources, and I found 3 sources that all said 48 pounds. The one actually said 48.9 or 47.9. To me, 48 is close enough. I'm not going to get that picky with it. And this is the other part that was fun, was trying to get on here, because the tie rod ends in the way, and it's going to throw off the torque setting. I'll do this bottom one first. I'm only getting one click at a time because I don't have the room to work in here. Luckily, it's only 48 pounds. Okay, there's 48. I'm going to go with that. If you're doing this job and you're replacing your tie rod end, or if you did break the tie rod end free from your knuckle, I'd recommend torquing these down before you put it back together. Just make things easier. You won't have your tie rod in the way. So now I'm going to put my ABS sensor back in. I don't know that it matters, but I just make sure there's no dust or crud on there. Put it in there. Find my handy dandy little bolt for it. That's, for some reason, all my parts and tools end up under that rotor, and I can never find them then. I don't know how they all fit under there, but every time I need a part, I can't find it. It happened to be right underneath that rotor. So, get this. I found a torque setting for this ABS sensor. I'm going to torque it to whatever I feel is right. It's like 5.5 pounds. I'm just going to tighten a little bit. That's good enough for me. This is plastic, so you don't want to over tighten it. And now I'm going to turn the wheel back to the right so I can get to the back bolt. Okay, that one's torqued now. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rotor back on, put the caliper bracket back on, and the reason I'm doing that next instead of this nut is because I need the wheel turned to the right to get, I don't need it turned to the right, but it's a lot easier putting that on with the wheel turned to the right. So my next step, you may want to spray this down, this rotor down, spray everything down with brake cleaner. I didn't get anything on the brakes themselves on the material, so I'm not going to spray them down. Put your rotor on. I always do look around to make sure that I didn't miss any, don't have any extra parts laying around. Because I've done that in the past. I've got all done and thought, perfect, I'm done working, and I look around and I see a part laying down there. So I make sure I don't have any spare parts laying around that I forgot. I have 2 bolts for the caliper bracket, my axle nut, and that's all that's laying around. So I feel confident I have everything I need. Take this off. I had trouble getting this in here, a little bit of trouble. So you want to be careful putting that back on. Slide your caliper back in there. Now you don't need to spread your push your pistons back in when you're doing this. You have enough room to get them on without doing that, but you may have to use a hammer to push them on there. Another tip is you might have trouble. You have to keep this. You want to keep this up against here to get these lined up. You can get an open or a boxed-in wrench, put on here. Actually, I could even do it using these. I'm sure. I don't think I need to do it, but you can put that on, and that'll hold your rotor up against the where it's supposed to go. Actually, it's threading on pretty easy by hand, so I'll just do this by hand so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. Because otherwise the rotor flops around, it's hard to get everything aligned. Just tighten those up finger tight. Now you just gotta get your holes back here lined up. And my lighting in this garage, another thing, when you put your bracket back on, make sure your hose isn't twisted. It is possible to get this hose completely twisted 360 degrees and then you have a kink in your hose. So make sure you get that back on the right way without kinking it. And the reason for hanging them up like I did, you don't want stress on these hoses. You don't want pressure. You don't want all the weight on those hoses. I got that one snugged up. Let me get into this one. Snug this one up. These ones get tightened to 60 something, 62 foot-pounds. So I'll set this to 62 after I tighten this up a little bit. Torque these down. After that, I just got to put the wheel back on. Okay, I got those tightened down a little bit. Grab my torque wrench. Okay, that's all done. I just have to straighten the wheel out, put the front tire on, and we'll be good to go. Take these back off. And from what I read, Mac Tool makes one of these also, this tool. And the box looks almost identical. Somebody said online that Lisle Tool makes the tool for Mac Tools. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but the boxes look identical. The part number on the Mac was, I think it was something like Hub R100 or Hub R401 or something like that. It was a very similar part number convention. So that leads me to believe that they probably are made by the same company. Now, whether Lisle makes it for Mac or Mac makes it for Lisle, I don't know. But like I said, what I did here online, somebody said that Lisle makes it for Mac. So $87. Last week, I fought with this thing for probably 4 hours on the other side before giving up. And I thought, before I take it to somebody and pay them to do this, let me try this tool. And I was hoping I wasn't going to throw away 90 bucks, and I didn't. I can use this tool again. You may even be able to, not that I recommend or advise using the wrong tool on the wrong thing, but you might be able to use that tool on something else, doing some other job. But I actually tried to make a tool similar to this last week, but I used a 3/8 grade 8 bolt. And I tried to make something that I could drive in there. I put the impact gun on it, and it bent that 3/8 bolt 45 degrees. So yeah, 3/8 bolt, not gonna work. I did watch a video earlier where a guy was demonstrating how to change these wheel bearings. I wasn't watching it to learn how to change them because I've done several, but I was hoping he would mention the torque specs. He took the bolts out, the 4 bolts out of the back, and it fell off. That's not the kind of luck I have, so I had to go spend 90 bucks on. Okay, we have a little bit of noise there, and I know what that is. That's my backing plate rubbing on the rotor. Might take this wheel back off. Bend this backing plate a little bit. There we go. So these backing plates are pretty flimsy. They're bending very easily. When I put the other side together, I had a noise too. I had to bend the backing plate a little bit. It's going to get bent up using this tool. So they're very easy to bend back into place. So I just grabbed the screwdriver and just pushed a little bit on the edge of it. That noise you hear there, that's just the brake pads rubbing on the rotor. That's normal. I'm going to go ahead and torque these a little bit. Not too tight, but I'm going to torque these a little bit using the air gun. When I put it down on the floor, I'll torque them properly. Proper torque specs on the lug nuts for this is 89. And you see I put my air gun on the first setting, the lightest setting. I just want to get these tight enough that I can set it on the ground. It's going to be properly secured so I can torque them properly with the, you know, I did forget something. So, just goes to show, this has to come back off because I didn't put the axle nut on. Yeah, I got to talking about the tool, and I forgot about the axle nut. And I just turned around and saw it. So that wouldn't have been good, so I wouldn't have put that back on. Roll this out of the way. I'm going to tighten this down, then I'll torque it after I get it tightened down. This gets torqued to 162 foot-pounds. You can have this on the lightest setting on number 1. Okay, so here's a little trick. We have a piece of 4x4 block, and grab my pry bar. And you want your pry bar in a position like this, now your rotor, your wheel won't turn. Okay, so we're back now. I found out the battery was dead in the car from leaving the door open and this and that. So I decided to go ahead and change the oil. I was waiting for the battery to charge up, and got the oil change. You see, I had my drain pan under there, and I missed. On the Subaru, the oil shoots out this way, and I didn't have the drain pan over far enough. It made a mess on the floor, so that's why there's oil dry on the floor now. But I got the oil changed. This has to be torqued down to about 160 foot-pounds. You see I put a 4x4 in here. I put this pry bar in there, and now I'm going to torque this down. I have my torque wrench set, and I'm going to tell you 160 is a lot. Let's see if I can get this. There it is, 160. So it's just a little trick to use so your wheel doesn't spin while you're trying to do that. You don't have to have anybody sitting there and hold the brakes on or whatever. So that's done. Subaru has this staked here. There's a little notch in the axle shaft, and you're supposed to stake that over. I have never staked them ever on any car. Never had a problem. So I'm not going to do that. I don't like the idea of maybe messing up the threads. So I just don't mess with that. Spin this now. Make sure we have no noises. You can just hear the pad rubbing on the rotor. Look back in there just to be sure I don't see anything in the way. Just extra insurance. Grab the tire. And like I said earlier, the reason I'm not replacing these brakes, there's only, I'm going to say 15,000 miles on them. And I had them off the other day and they're in good shape. So I'm not going to mess with them. Another little trick is use your feet and legs to lift the tire. I try not to raise the car up too high, so I can get away with just putting my feet under there. Just makes it a lot easier, not breaking your back trying to lift this thing. And it's just a little Subaru. Imagine lifting up a truck tire or something. So all that's left now, just have to torque the lug nuts down. I'm going to tighten these up a little snug, and then I'm going to lower it back down to the ground, torque these down to find my socket here, torque these down to 89 foot-pounds, and it should be good to go. So I don't like just zipping these on with the air right away, so I snug them up a little bit by hand, especially with the conical wash or conical lug nuts. Let them center themselves. Sometimes if you zip them on with the air, they can be a little bit off center and you don't realize it. So I try to zip them on. I'll grab my ratchet over here. I had it under there for doing the oil change. And I just tighten them up hand tight, or not hand tight, but use a regular ratchet. Probably only about 20 foot-pounds on these like this. And that's it. So all that's left now, either jack the car back up, get the jack stands out from under it, torque these lug nuts, and I'm done. All right, so we got the wheel back on. I didn't torque it yet. I'm going to jack the jack up, take the jack stands out from under it, lower it back down. I'm going to torque the lug nuts to 89 foot-pounds. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. This is just my own experience. Lisle Tool. I couldn't get that other one apart. Like I said last week, I tried to tear that passenger side apart. I had no luck. I don't own a press, so that wasn't an option for me. I don't really know anybody that owns a press. My next stop was probably take it to a shop somewhere and pay them probably $100 an hour to do this. Found this tool online, 90 bucks. You saw how easy it was to get that out of there. If you do a lot of wheel bearings, or if you're having trouble with one, I would recommend borrowing or buying that tool from somebody. I got that one from JB Tool. I have no affiliation with JB Tool. I don't think I've ever bought anything from them before. That's who happened to have it online. I ordered it Thursday, it came Saturday, so phenomenal job on the shipping. I would definitely buy from them again. That's about it. You know, PB Blaster, this Aircat tool, Aircat 1150, worked wonders. PB Blaster, love that stuff. And that's about all I got for you. So hope this video helped you. All the other videos I saw only showed them removing the wheel bearing with this tool. I wanted to do a video that showed everything start to finish, just in case you're new to this, you don't really know what you're doing. You can one-stop shop, watch my video, and you'll know what to do. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. And hope it helps you out. Thanks. Bye.